Hello and welcome back. It is Monday. I am Mr. Sesotris, and this week we're going to get superficial and I'm going to talk about my favorite book covers. Now, as you go through this list, you're going to see that there's kind of two types of covers that I like. There's like the more old-fashioned kind of action-adventure, classic fantasy, sci-fi, sort of landscapes and kind of things. And then there's the ones that are kind of more like minimalist or use shapes and colors really well. And so I'm excited to go through this list because there's a lot here. And these are all books that I enjoy the books, but I just have to give a shout out to the cover art. All right, first up on the list is Isaac Asimov's The Gods Themselves. This is what I was talking about when I said like those old-fashioned classic sci-fi fantasy covers. I love these so much. There's something about this style of artwork that just takes me back, and I don't know, it just reminds me of when I first got into reading. And I don't know, there's something about this kind of artwork, because you don't really see this kind of artwork anywhere anymore. Like, you can go on Pinterest and look up, you know, like retro-futurist sci-fi landscapes, and you can find stuff there. But we don't, like, encounter this kind of artwork in the world usually. So this is definitely one that's going to go on this list. Next up is one that I've talked about a lot. This is a newer one, and that is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. There's something about the style of this that I really love. This is, again, one of those kind of more minimalist, using shape and negative space. I don't know. There's something about the fact that, like, the top of her head is cut off so you can't see her eyes. It leaves it kind of up in the air. I love the composition and the color balance between like the maroon of her dress and the green wallpaper. It just says everything it has to say about what's in the book. And I think it's just one of those iconic covers that we need to just keep talking about forever because it's so good. Next up is another maximalist one, and this is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This one's got kind of that like classic nautical pirate adventure, you know, Treasure Island, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, that kind of stuff, the seafaring adventure. And it perfectly encapsulates what the book is about. Now, I haven't read this one yet, but from what I've read, this is definitely kind of the vibe of the book. It's, you know, crazy, wacky adventures on the sea, and I love the kind of old-fashioned style of the artwork. It's definitely one that I really love. Next up is a trilogy, and this is another one of those ones that uses color and minimalism in a maximalist way, and I really love it. And that is these editions of Octavia Butler's Lilith's Brood trilogy. It was also called the Xenogenesis trilogy in previous editions, but there's something about the way that these use color, and you get like partial faces, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's just really compelling because the books are very much kind of transhumanism and aliens and the definition of what it means to be human kind of blurring and changing, and this definitely does this. You've got the kind of move from like a person in a strange environment to a person kind of blending into the environment, and I love these editions so much. These books are great anyways, but this artwork is so captivating and it just looks so good on the shelf. I love these. Now next one is a newer edition of an older book, and that is Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. And like Mexican Gothic, this is a Gothic fiction. It's kind of a murder mystery in a sense, but this artwork is just opulent and gorgeous and kind of overwhelming because you've got, you know, the flower that represents Rebecca kind of taking over, and then you've got the really fancy script and like the gold shiny foil. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. And it's so funny because when it is on the shelf, it's just like green and white, and you're like, okay, that's just, you know, a normal edition. But then you like look at the front cover and it's just stunning. I love this artwork so much. More books need to do this. It's so pretty. Next up is Sistersong by Lucy Holland, and this is another one. I really, really love this one. And the cover, it's almost like the cover doesn't make sense until you've read the book, because it's very much rooted in kind of the symbolism of the stuff that's happening in the story. And so to explain the cover would almost be kind of a spoiler for the story. So I'm not going to do that. But I do love the kind of, again, it's kind of minimalist, but it's just really elegant. The negative space, the contrast between like the darkness of the hands and the text, and then the white and the harp in the background, and then the gold tying it all together. It's really a really well done cover design. This I know the English edition has a slightly different cover, and it's also really gorgeous, but this is the kind of North American version, and that's fine because I love this one so much. It's just, I don't know, this book is incredible anyways, but I just love it when they kind of distill a book down to sort of one important image, and it almost becomes like an icon. Like it's just like a logo for the entire story, but it's not, you know, I don't know. But the design of this cover is so good. I love it so much. Next up is another one, and that is Iron Widow by Shirin J. Zhao. And this is, again, this has got to be one of those like iconic covers of our time kind of thing, because it's just incredible. Their second book, Heavenly Tyrant, is going to be coming out I think next year. So excited for that one. The book itself is fantastic, but I really love the bold, striking, iconic cover art. And I know that there was also in the paperback version, there's a cat here now. In the paperback version, this stuff here is sort of foiled in, so it's gold and shiny, which is just great. But I love the artwork, and even on the back cover, it just, I don't know. The design of this one just feels like this is kind of one of those once in a generation covers that is just stunning, and we will not see its like for a while because they really hit it out of the park with this one. Next up is N.K. Jemisin's The City We Became, and the sequel to it, The World We Make, is also incredible, but it's the same kind of style, and there's something about this cover that just captures exactly what this story is about. You've got the kind of monochrome New York, but then you've got kind of the shimmer of different neon colors behind it that sort of says that there's something going on, there's something not right. It just turns it from something ordinary into something magical, and it doesn't even really need to show anything. Like, this doesn't give any spoilers for kind of the contents of the thing, but you can tell something's off. Like, for one thing, you've got like the Statue of Liberty over here, like in the city, and it's not quite where it's supposed to be. So there's something kind of off, but it just looks great. And then you got the back cover with all the reviews and like vibrant neon colors, and it's so great. And I love the way that this works. This is one of those books where as soon as I started reading it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is exactly the vibe that I figured that this was going to be. It's scary and mysterious, but it's also funny, it's also vibrant, and it's just, this cover art captures it so well, and it does the same thing in the sequel. It's great. Next up, I've talked about this one a million times, and that is Priory the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is one of those classic old-fashioned cover art styles that I love it so much. The use of the dragon, the color yellow. You don't see yellow as much. Now I'm gonna, there's a couple books in here that I've had that have yellow on them, but for some reason there was something about this book. It just looked new and different and exciting, and the strong text, I don't know, the verticality of it, there was something about this that just felt iconic. And this was kind of the book that got me into sort of contemporary fantasy after I'd kind of been burned out on sort of older fantasy that I wasn't as interested in when I was a kid. But this kind of reignited my love of it, and so I'll always love it. But just the cover artwork is just beautiful, and I love the vibrant colors, and I love the art style, this kind of old-fashioned illustration, and the dragon itself is kind of foiled, it's kind of shiny. It's so great. I love it. Another one that I really love is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau. The book is great, but the cover art just has this kind of ethereal, magical quality to it, and it fits the cover, it fits the title really well. It just has this kind of dreamy sort of, I don't know, it has this dreamy quality, and it really fits the tone of the story. And you've got kind of, the little cigarette holder in her hand there, and so you kind of get a sense of like the time and place it's set in, but then you've got these white petals sort of fluttering over the front of it, and then like the dark title, but the title's a little bit translucent, and so you can sort of see through it. It's just, I don't know, there's something about this cover. It just looks decadent and rich, but also light and ethereal and magical, and I think that's exactly what they were going for. It works really, really well. This is another kind of old-fashioned cover, and that is Dan Simmons' Hyperion. This is one of my favorite sci-fi series ever, and the covers for all of them are really good, and they all use this figure, the Shrike, who's kind of this strange, relentless, dangerous force throughout the series. But there's something about just the design of this, and if you turn it over, you've got sort of the city, the sci-fi city in the background with the tree in the front. You've got this blend of the natural and the futuristic, and then here you've got this ship going through like a field of grass, like a prairie, and then you've got the Shrike kind of looming over everything in the foreground. And so it's really captivating, and you immediately kind of ask yourself, what is this thing? What's it doing? I need answers. And I love these old-fashioned sort of, I don't know what you call these covers. It's kind of like the sci-fi version of like clinch covers for romance novels, but that's not what they are. Maybe illustrated covers? I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But these like paintings that they would hire artists to do, and they would paint these landscapes, and then they'd wrap the landscape around the book. It just is great, and I love this style, and this cover is one of those iconic ones that it really jumps out at you and grabs you. Moving to the more minimalist side of things, you've got Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is another one of those covers. It jumped out at you when you first saw it. There's something strange about it. You've got the face blending into the wing, and then you've got just the black and gold, and the black is kind of shiny. It just makes you want to dig into it and read it. The book itself is fantastic, but it has this kind of not spooky, but sort of magical, epic, otherworldly quality, and it really, really makes you want to kind of dig in. And I feel like the other books in the series, they captured that kind of stark contrast between like, vibrant lettering and then a black background. But this one of all three really feels like it's sort of the one that, I don't know, it's kind of the most iconic of the three. It's just such a great design, and it's so cool looking. I love the design of this one. Next up is a double header here, and that is both of Vaishnavi Patel's books, Kaikeyi and Goddess of the River. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Oh, here, I'll move this here so you can see it better. And I have not read this one yet, but I just got it. But this art style is so cool. You've got the big, bold title, and I think they both use pretty similar fonts, which kind of gives it a bit of continuity, even though they're not necessarily connected. But then you've got the vibrant contrast of the colors in the background. You've got the figure etched solely in just black, kind of like a silhouette. But then you also see the jewelry that they're wearing, and so it turns them into kind of this mythical kind of figure. And I just love these art styles so much. They're so beautiful, and they just look so good on the shelf together. I don't know, I love these, and I can't wait to read this one. Whenever I read hardcovers, I take the dust jacket off, and I leave it on the shelf so it can be protected, because I love dust jackets. If you ever meet someone who takes a dust jacket off and throws it away, you need to consider whether you want to still be friends with them, because that's horrifying. Because, like, the book without the dust jacket is just, it's just that. It's okay. It's boring. And there are some books where the actual cover beneath the dust jacket is also, it has a style to it, and it's also, got images and stuff on it, and that's fine. But I love dust jackets, and I protect them with my life. I'm currently reading the book James by Percival Everett, and so I've got the dust jacket here, and it's just sitting on the shelf like this where it can be protected because I don't want it to be messed up. So these books are great. The covers are beautiful. Next up is a really minimalist one, but I think, again, this was really iconic and one of those titles that just jumps out and says exactly what it means to. And that's Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now, I liked the book. Some people didn't really like it. It's very satirical and sarcastic, and it's making fun of kind of publishing industry, so it's very meta, and it's also talking about, you know, cultural appropriation and systemic racism, but it's done in a very sarcastic, biting way. I really liked it. I thought it worked really well, but this cover is great. I was reading this on the bus one time, and the person across the street or across the bus kept like looking at it, and eventually she asked me what it was about, because she said that cover, there was something about the cover that just, it was so intriguing. She was like, what is that about? And so I told her about it. So this is definitely one of those all-time great covers. It's simple, but it says exactly what it means to say. And you've got, you know, the shifty eyes, and, you know, it's so good. I love this cover so much. And finally on this list, this is another kind of minimalist one, and it just uses text. So there's no pictures of people or anything, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. The whole series does this. Each one's a different color. Jade War's red, Jade Legacy's blue, but this cover, I don't know, this is another one of those ones that just, it feels like it captures everything about it without saying anything. You've got the kind of magic, you've got this kind of epic, you know, verticality to it. It feels big and huge. The font is really cool, and then you've got just these three lines, you know, magic is, or family is duty, magic is power, honor is everything. And it's, you're in it. You're like, that's the story, that's what we're gonna do. You've got these big, not crime families, but they are kind of modeled off of like mafiosa, but they're kind of modeled off of like, you know, the mafia, big crime families, that kind of thing. But it's just, these books are great. But I love this cover design. It's simple. It kind of lets you overlay your own expectations onto it, but it just feels like it's a big important thing. And I love these books so much. They're so good. But yeah, definitely a cover that I really love. Now, I know there's others. I could go on and on and on and on. I could go into like nonfiction. I could go into all kinds of other stuff, but I don't have time for that. So with that said, I will let you go. But in the meantime, tell me what your favorite cover art is. And if you know any like cover artists, this is a great place to give them like a shout out. People who do this, who you know on social media, folks who make a living doing cover art. We definitely need to support them and give them all the kudos, because what they do is not just art, but it's like graphic design, and it's almost like advertising. It's everything. They have to be sort of multi-talented. They can't just write, you know, create a painting. They have to create something that is eye-catching, is balanced, advertises what the book is about, gets you wanting to read it. Cover artists are amazing people, and we need to support them and protect them because they are great. So with that said, I will let you go. I'll see you next week, and in the meantime, happy reading. Bye.